Hey guys, sometimes I get a little frustrated by people like my friend Matt, who I interviewed here, who they drive a hybrid car. Do I believe in global warming? That's a subject for probably another discussion, but I'd say it is obvious that temperatures are changing. People who love to go to car shows love to go to car shows. The rumble of the cars as they pull up, the rumble of the car at idle. But it is a fact that the cars that come to the car shows get like 8 miles to the gallon, old cars like that. My friend Matt brought his Toyota Hybrid to the car show last year. And he got more questions from older people than one of us did who was with him. I try to think about what kind of an impact I leave working on all these cars, or what kind of a difference I make. My sister and my brother-in-law drive hybrids. My sister's got a Prius, and my brother-in-law, I think he drives a Chevy Volt. It's a plug-in hybrid. Well, I, of course, do not. I've talked about this before. I drive a 2012 Kia Soul. So I get maybe 32 miles to the gallon. People can talk about what does it take environmentally to get the materials for these batteries for these cars, or the electricity that you use from your house to power these cars. That aside, I have thought about getting a hybrid car after my friend Matt got this Corolla. The only problem for me is, because I've worked on cars as much as I have, a car that doesn't cause me any grief or any problems is right in my book. My Soul, except for struts and brakes, and it hasn't asked for anything. It did ask for a transmission temp sensor, and I did that. It took a couple hours. But besides that, I've had it for the last 7 years, and it has not asked me for anything or caused me any problems or not started. And I think of the old saying, messing around with the devil you know instead of the devil you don't. Well, if I were to buy a pre-owned hybrid car, I don't know what kind of trouble it might give me. And I'm not talking about the powertrain. I'm talking about simple things like tie rods or ball joints or CV axles. All of the normal things, because even though a hybrid is a hybrid, it still has the fundamental parts that a normal car has: wheel bearings, brakes. So again, I've thought about getting one, but it's hard to get rid of my Kia because right now I have a car that doesn't ask me for anything. I don't have a car payment. People have $400 car payments, and then they have to do the maintenance on the car. Well, I have no car payment, and I'm doing no maintenance because nothing's breaking. My father-in-law pointed out one time at church, they were talking about being environmentally friendly, and he goes to the car shows with us, of course. One of the older ladies from church, said that a lot of the problems with our environment right now are caused by people who can't let go of the idea of older cars. I kind of have a different take on it. I recycle. My friend Joe recycles. My friend Heath recycles. And how do we recycle? I worked in retail for a number of years as a manager of a grocery store. And when you go to the grocery store and you see a thing of Campbell's chicken noodle soup, there's 4 or 5 of those behind it. Well, if somebody takes 1 or 2, we have to order more Campbell's soup to keep the shelf filled. Same thing with my Crown Victoria. Okay, let's use that as an example. My Crown Victoria has a 4.6 liter V8. They use them in Crown Vics, Grand Marquis, Town Cars, Thunderbirds, Cougars, and Mustangs. So it's a motor that's all over the place, so you can get parts readily. Let's say that I need to get an alternator for my Crown Vic. What do? I go to the auto parts store. They have 3 of them on the shelf. They hand me one. Well, the next time they get a shipment in, they're going to order an alternator to take its place. Hence, another alternator has to be created. What material is used to make the alternator? Where's the wiring come to make this alternator? What fossil fuels are being burned to create this alternator. Well, here's the thing. I go to the salvage yard in Newton or Kansas City or Des Moines, and I pull an alternator that I can see looks good, and I bring it back to the house. Well, here's how I think of it. That alternator is already made. The fossil fuels that were going to be used to make it have already been spent. So when I take this alternator, nobody's going to have to go and create a new alternator to take its place. Hence, I'm using a very low carbon footprint. My friend Matt needed a starter for his tan Toyota Corolla. He could have bought a new one, but I told him I like to recycle and I like to do things that are better for the environment, so I'll just go to the salvage yard and get one that's already made and that no one's going to make another one to replace it. And that's what I did. I think that we get this idea of people who drive older cars like I do, like they're just polluting the environment like crazy. And there are a lot of people who go to the auto parts store or the mechanic shop to have parts replaced. And yes, those are the parts. Again, take a starter off the shelf, take another starter off the shelf. They have one left. What are they going to do? Order 2 more starters from the big truck to stock their shelves, meaning more things have to be made. Well, a lot of people, though, you have to realize, who have old cars aren't like that. They do recycle and they use old parts from the salvage yard. We don't use old brakes. We don't use a lot of front end suspension parts. Those things we have to have new. There's no way around it. But when it comes to things like alternators, starters, valve covers, power steering pumps, even brake rotors, if they're in good shape, no brake pads or anything like that, of course. Radiators, if they're not leaking, we can take radiators. And those things, again, are not being created to take the spot of the radiator that we're taking off. So I look at it like this. I've been going to the salvage yard since 2001. I have been recycling since 2001. I have been recycling on a huge level since 2001. Because not only my cars have salvage yard parts on them. My father-in-law, his Jaguar, a Jaguar is running junkyard parts. His Firebird, his Ford van, his Ford F-250 truck, his Nissan Titan, all of them have, his town car, all have parts from other cars that would have been crushed or sent to a landfill and buried. I end up trying to think of it like this. We all have a part to play to make this planet a good place for younger people. And I think that myself and my friends are doing our part. We might not be driving around in vehicles that get 50 miles to the gallon, but we're recycling probably more than most people. People throw away and they recycle their pizza box. Well, I recycle entire cars. All right, guys, that's just my 2 cents. All right, have a great day.